Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriot, Crusader Missions Christian Warrior Talk, a Christian fellowship program, podcast, YouTube channel, whatever. If we're not banned on YouTube right now, I don't know if you guys are seeing me on YouTube. We'll see here. But we got a strike on our Lindell on the Hope Report, so I don't know if you guys have seen. But anyways, this is Jason Perry with Patriot Crusader Mission, a church for veterans, first responders, and patriots based in the free state of Tennessee, just outside of Johnson City in Carter County. We are a 44-acre church farm, or what I like to call the church pound or the farm pound. Here we teach men how to be men, how to fight, how to shoot, but also how to disciple their families, as well as, we teach the full scope of the Bible, meaning heaven and hell. Yes, there is a hell. Imagine that. I know that might be news for a lot of the Christian lights that don't watch this channel, but there is a hell, and it's something that someplace you don't want to go. And in this show, we, celebrate our victories, learn from our setbacks and our defeats, pick each other up and dust each other off, and talk about the challenges we have as a, hey, Chris Bosman, good to see you. Hey, Phil, good to see you. I'm getting ready to sound off. So let me give you the rules. The rules are, when you come on, make sure you sound off like these other people are and say strength and honor, and we'll give you a
strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
The rules with this are toast something. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage. It can be sparkling water like Warren's drinking over here. I am drinking wine. It can be whatever you want. If you have a problem with alcohol, you should not be doing that, right? So find something else. Alcohol is not the requirement. It's more of just drinking together. Doesn't matter if it's a beverage, an alcoholic beverage or not. Don't let it be a stumbling block. All right, so we got to catch up. I'm going to welcome my good friend Warren to the show. Strength and honor, Warren.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
My friend Christopher.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
And my brother Phil.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
So last week we did not have a program. I just had a terrible week, and I was in no place to get on here. And with everything that was going on, with how busy we were, and just I wasn't in the frame of mind to be able to come on here and talk. So I needed a break. I took it. Considered ditching. Patty, what's up?
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
Consider ditching the Friday show and just doing the sermons on Sunday. But so many people reached out to me and say sometimes this is the only fellowship they get because they're out behind enemy lines. So I'm not going to pull that lifeline. I just got to reprioritize, reorganize my life. Things on the farm have calmed down. So if you guys know, we had a back-to-back challenging issues here on the farm. All fires are out. The chicken coop's about to be opened, the big chicken coop. Wally and Pixie have been integrated into the herd. So we have all 8, cows together, and they're all getting along fine. So that's all great. No more flooding. The rain has stopped. It's been the most amazing August. Way better than last August.
Yeah.
Last year's August was hotter than this one. But last year's June was awesome, and this year's June was like smoking hot. So It was really weird. But so yeah, we had a lot of challenges. We got really busy, got really overwhelmed. Homesteading is awesome when everything's going right. Well, and you're homesteading as well. So I brought Warren on, and we're going to talk about the challenges of how what it's all fun and games until a dog eats all your chickens.
Oh yeah. Well, hi guys. But what Jason's talking about specifically was I came home from work last week, and I pull up to the chicken coop and I see chicken legs sticking straight up in the air. I'm like, oh no. I go and I'm looking for the dog or something that's killed our chickens, and next thing you know, I count all the way through, and almost our whole flock of chickens have been killed. Almost 19, and
what
there's
people
one
don't
left.
understand is that's a big blow, right? I mean, that's a massive blow to you, because you fed them and they were laying eggs and they were producing, and to start over is to start back from scratch. Hey, Danae.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
You know, it's a big setback, and you know that can be really challenging. People don't understand. Oh, it's just a chicken. No, it's 20 weeks for the chickens we have from the day we get them. That's 6 months
Yep.
of feed before they even start laying eggs.
And then on top of it, now you have to start completely all over and now not have food for wintertime.
Right. So now you got 6 months of no chicken eggs.
Yep.
Unless you go buy full chickens at the farmer's market or whatever.
Well, even protein to eat. I mean, once they're
Yeah.
done with their life cycle, you can eat them.
Yeah.
And we're out that.
Yeah. So again, I mean, that's really challenging. I know here we have yet to lose. We've lost one bird that bee stepped on, and that was really it. The rest of it has not really been that big of an issue. We've been very, very, very fortunate because we free range. I can't believe no one's hit one of my chickens in the road because they're stupid. They go and they stand in the road.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're getting ready to do that. Hey, Claudia, good to see you.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
So again, it's hard enough homesteading as it is when things are going right. It's a lot of work.
It never goes right.
Yeah.
It never goes right. And now I feel for, how our, ancestors back in the day that lived off the land.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, and it just shows you how dependent they were on God, right?
Oh.
They didn't have radar.
Yep.
They didn't understand like when weather was coming or any of these other things. They had no idea when a hurricane was coming or what was going to be going on. And they would put it in the ground
and pray.
And if it didn't rain, it didn't rain.
And now we can just walk in the stores and get what we want when we need it.
Yeah.
Until things get so expensive you can't afford it.
Right. So so you lost that. We had the issues with the pigs. We had our cows. Like 3 of our cows get sick. All of our Jersey cows have had either mastitis or bloat.
Yeah.
And our pigs have gotten out. They've almost drowned. Yeah, Patty says, I'm surprised they haven't been hit because they've been in the road all out there all the time. Yeah, we're trying to fix that. We're trying to, we're moving them back to the coop, and we're going to put them in a fence and send them in the back. And hopefully, I'd rather them go back there than the rest of it. But, it is very rewarding, and it's a learning thing. It's a learning curve. So like for us, we went all in all the way and went from 0 to a fully functional farm in 4 months or less. Like a full herd, a herd for us, 8 cows is a lot.
Yeah.
We have no experience with cows. Lauren has no experience with cows. 4 pigs that are going to be, we didn't get small breed pigs. We get giant breed pigs.
Yeah. And we went from, on 3 acres, we went from knowing nothing about animals to 20 chicks. And then a garden, huge garden, and then now we're going to be adding more gardens and more, more rows to grow our own food. I mean, and that's the only way you're going to learn. And
right.
You got to jump in, just like being a parent. Nothing can prepare you like being a parent, but just like jumping in with both feet. Yeah.
Well, and the hard things are coming up, right? So, I got a decision to make if I'm going to process Solomon, the bull, this year, or if I'm going to keep him around. I got to decide what I'm going to do with the 6 calves that are coming. Hey, Linda.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
And so, because my field can only support so much.
Right.
Luckily, we've had a lot of rain, so.
But going back to all the different things as you and Lauren are growing the farm, and my wife and I and the kids and my in-laws are growing our little thing. The progression planning is probably the most important thing, and that's where I'm finding out as I'm talking to people who had 1 acre homesteads, friends and families that have 44-acre homesteads. You got to try, you got to go and do. Things are going to die. Every one of them has said that things are going to die. You're going to figure your soils out. You're going to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's just the uphill battle because our generation doesn't know that stuff. Most people you ask, where does your food come from? The store.
Yeah.
They don't know where it comes from. None. Hardly any of them.
Yeah, so Christopher asked, so we're going to process the animals ourselves or have it butchered. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to try to do it ourselves. We're going to start with the hogs, and then we're going to do an animal. But we got to get some. It depends on if we get what we get. So we have winches here. You know, I have a 4,500-pound winch on my side-by-side that can obviously pull things up. A friend of mine's donating a winch to the farm that we can just hard point.
Yeah.
That'll be great too. And then we got to get like the great example is like my boxing cage. I got, you know, I don't know what gauge steel that I hang all my heavy bags on that I could definitely put a.
We can make one.
Yeah,
we can make one. Ingenuity.
You know, and basically, I think doing it in the barn is going to do the right thing, but we can't do it unless we have a cooler to hang it in.
Yep.
So this is a multi-tier process. So that's why, you know, the thing you got to understand about cows too is there's such a long lead time.
Yeah. Well, I don't have per se a lot of, you know, time vested in understanding that, but I grew up in a huge cattle ranch community in California, and I've worked and been around a lot of them, of cowboys and ranchers, and it's quite a big process. But the biggest thing is the community that you build is so essential, and actually trying it and doing it and figuring out the logistics of that, because we're potentially talking about not being able to find this stuff ourselves or go to stores to be able to afford it or buy it.
Right. So, you know, the lead time with the cows, you know, if you get one, then it's born. And then we've got a cow. So she's had a baby before. She's open. She lost her baby, but she's open. And, you know, so now you don't kill her because she's your calf producer.
Yeah.
And then you have her offspring, which we have a heifer. Mm-hmm. We have another heifer here who's a young cow, Black Angus. And then we have 2 bulls. We have Wally and we have Solomon. Now, Wally is a Scottish Highland and easy keeper, super laid back. Like that guy is like awesome.
Right. Solomon,
you know, I had to get into it with him today because he was trying to get in the milk chute because I think Margot's in heat. And he's trying to get in there, and I'm like banging him in the head with the gate. And finally I had to grab a big log branch and be like, dude, you know, and he's like, whoa.
Hey, do you have a shock stick?
I don't have a shock stick. I got a little gun thing.
Yeah.
But you got to get too close for that. And I don't know if it has enough things. So I don't mind moving him. Right? Like moving him, I think, is more of a thing with him than the little, because I've shocked him with that thing before, and he's just like, now I shock the other cows and they act like I shoot him.
Yeah.
But for him to move his weight is the thing that he freaks out about. Right. So, but there is some other good news, right? So anyways, the lead time with the cows is a year to 2 years, right? And if you want to grow a herd, right? So you got to grow a herd. Now it has been way more expensive to feed them. I thought I just gave them grass and it'd be fine.
Right.
It's not.
How long did it take for them to do the first pasture? How long did it take for them to get to the point where you're like, I need to get them off? And how big?
It was 3 months.
3 months?
3 months, but it was so rainy. It was growing, and I didn't really need to rotate them other than I was seeing plants that they weren't liking, whether it be the clover or whatever that was growing high.
Right.
And I wanted to get in there and mow that so that it would get down, or spray it and overseed the other stuff.
Yeah,
right?
but there was some key information that the state biologist that came down and told you what specifically about the field was the key information on rotating them and when you should move
Well,
them?
we had in a normal season or in a dry season, we would completely exhausted our field already.
Okay.
So that was the key. But in a super rainy season, they came here and they couldn't believe that I had 8 cows on 3 acres. Right. That was basically, or maybe 4.
It's unheard of.
Right. But I was graining them, grain them because I want them to come. They get trace grain at night. I got 2 5-pound scoops and I put it in for the 3 Black Angus and Wally and the Dexter. So for those 5, they get like a pound of grain, which is like a joke. Right. But it keeps them coming. They get in the morning, they get it at night, so I can get them coming up here and having that relationship with them. 90% of their diet is grass. I'm not haying them at all, but it's expensive. The dairy cows, in order to ideally we'd have 4 dairy cows and 2 would be resting while 2 are producing.
Right.
That's where we're going to get to soon. That's what I want to get. So people ask me, what's your next cow? My next cow will be another dairy cow or a Scottish Highland that I can reach up when we can afford it. Right now, we're kind of strapped, given everything we've done here. I just paid a ridiculous amount of money for some stuff to have be done on the property. So, and I got to get a skid steer and repair all the roads.
Right.
And, and do a bunch of other stuff. Right. So we've got a ton of stuff we got to do here that you don't count on when you're budgeting.
Yeah. Well, you brought up dairy cows, and I remember asking you, when you're dealing with, animals getting sick, such as the dairy cow, what do you do with the milk?
It goes either, if they're on meds, it goes in the trash.
Yeah, it goes in the trash. But the other cool thing that I saw was the output of milk when you couldn't consume it fast enough. It went to
pigs, chickens. The dogs.
I mean, that was huge.
So the dairy cows are the drivers of this farm right now.
Yeah.
Right. They are the people who them and the egg layers are the only ones producing right now.
Yeah, and the fridge is full.
Yeah.
Milk.
So we got butter, we got cream, we got milk, we got ice cream, we got yogurt, we got all that stuff. So there's really no dairy cow, a family dairy cow is a no-brainer.
Yep.
Like an absolute no-brainer.
I can't have them on my property. It's too small. They'll tear it up. So we're gonna
have
to
get a Dexter there, no problem. A Dexter can exist on a half acre.
We're probably thinking sheep for meat.
Yeah, sure.
Keeping them groomed down.
I've never had sheep meat that I like, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
But again, I don't know. I like regular Greek gyros, which that's lamb.
Right.
So, again, I like it when they carve it off the spinning thing there, the legit stuff, not the stuff that you get out of the microwave. That's at Arby's. But so anyways, it was way more expensive than we got. Like our dairy cows now, we figured out we were feeding them too much. We're feeding them corn, we're feeding them dairy mix, we're feeding them sunflower seeds, we're feeding them all this stuff. And what the biologist said was feed them dairy mix that is by design for them.
Right.
And only that. Anything else, you're going to upset the balance.
Right. And then, but the other cool thing is like you were talking about, not even just, the 2 pastures you have right now as you're progressively growing your property is, eventually you're gonna start leaning them off of all that stuff, grain, and you were talking about the mountainside. Yeah,
when we have 3 pastures back there, right now it's all about convenience.
Yeah,
like right now it's about what are we doing to survive.
Right.
And when we got our cows, they came from an industrial dairy farm, and they were beat up, man. They were beat up and scrawny, and people were like, "Man, you guys got some skinny cows," and we put weight on them.
Yeah.
So, and that's we're fine with that. We're fine with that. Once they come off, it's going to be great to see them put on weight.
When you were saying them being, looking like they're in terrible shape, but you were giving me the actual medical breakdown. What was going on with this? They were basically eating themselves alive.
If they don't get enough calories, they eat themselves alive.
Yeah.
Right. They cannibalize their body to produce milk for their calf.
Right. And I didn't really understand why that was like that.
Steve Rutledge!
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
So, anyways, my whole point is this: what this show wasn't even going to be about homesteading today. Is that but when Warren said that they were coming over, his recent setback with the chickens, that's 6 months of work setback.
Oh, if not more, because we'll look at a basic financial breakdown. If we really wanted to start with adult birds, you're talking about $120, $150 investment if you go get them at an auction. But I don't know them. I don't know where they've been. I don't know what they've been fed, if they're GMO feed, and all that stuff. And so until I get all that out of their system, and also reproduction, I don't know.
Well, you guys can have as many eggs as you want from us.
All right.
We tend to carry you.
Thanks, Jay.
I mean, I know you got a giant family. We got eggs. People coming here. You've done the sweat equity here, so come get as many eggs as you want.
Copy that, bro.
Right.
Thank you.
So I mean, we've got 43 a day. I don't even like eggs. I don't even like eggs.
Can you find them all?
We haven't found them all yet, but hopefully we're about to coop them all up and be done with it. So the other thing that you're going to find is it's going to be more expensive than you thought. Like anything, any business, you're always worst case it add 50%, and
if not more,
right?
Yeah.
And but when things are just normal, it's very doable.
Well, getting to I remember we were having this discussion about jump starting, but getting to the point where you're maintaining animals, crops. That's the rub right there.
The hard part, the pyramid building movement or building the ark moment, is getting all the fences pounded, is getting all the infrastructure in place. And if you're buying a place that has all that, wonderful. But we had none of it.
Yeah.
We had buildings, and that's all we had. And none of our animals are in buildings. Well, that's not true. The pigs have their condo, and the meat birds have their condo. So,
we didn't have that either.
So going out and doing that was really, really expensive.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you, I would have went to electric fence a lot sooner.
Electric fence, and then the other thing too is like for chickens, I'll have to say from what I've learned, but we have a Taj Mahal, almost 200 square foot chicken coop. We're going to cut it in half and make a garden shed out of the other one for starting our crops.
Well, but see, we can't. Like, we're worried. Like, we have a 16 by 20.
Yeah.
Right. But we have 144 chickens.
You'll be surprised with that many chickens. They're probably only using like 10 little buckets to lay their eggs.
Well, only 44 are going to 43 lay eggs. The other ones are the Freedom Rangers.
Well, we had 20 chickens, and they chose 5 buckets to lay all their eggs in out of all of them. So, I mean, it's chicken tractors, small coops. I mean, if you look at some of these operations, they can be streamlined, and it's doable. I think people overthink things, and it becomes overwhelming and fearful because they can't scale things down and make it simple.
Okay, I agree, and it's all about convenience, right? Like, so we could have set our farm up way different, but I wanted the grain and I wanted the water to be close to the house.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, because so that kind of says, okay, well, they're always going to have to be here.
Well, the biggest thing is then it becomes about security when everyone is starving.
Right
at that point.
Well, when that happens, we're going to the back where the amphitheater is going to be.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind, able to corral everything in a really small area. We'll be able to collapse it back there and cover it with 1 or 2 guys if it came to that.
Yeah.
Right? With high ground, no one's going to be able to like come through the woods and carry off a cow.
Yeah.
Right. So that's thick woods back there. They're not going to be able to get a vehicle in. Whereas if it was on the road, they'd come up, grab one, and go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, theft is going to be a big thing too. That's why people brand their cattle.
Yeah.
A lady whose lawn I used to cut, her chickens got stolen right from her front yard.
Wow.
All of them are gone. She had to restart her flock too. I mean, sheep. I mean, all that stuff gets stolen. If people are hungry enough, they're going to do some things that we wouldn't imagine, especially in America. we're used to having plenty,
Right.
and if things become tough, people will do certain things to make sure that people are fed and their family are fed.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So again, that's part of the security factor when you're talking about doing this for, stuff hitting the fan type things. What I wanted to talk about today is, I didn't mean to go off on this tangent, but having you here, and I know these fresh things in our mind, the flood and everything else, and trees down and corrals being taken out, and crazy weather and all that stuff happening when you're out of town. Building a community is one of the most important things you can do. Hey, Adventures of Socha.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Exactly, Chris. Men and women need to be warriors. You need your shield maidens.
Yeah.
Your shield maiden is going to be the only one you can count on. Here's what I've learned about the Christian community. It sucks. Period. It sucks. I've never met more disasters, right? I'm a pastor, and I'm telling you this. I've never met more disasters with thinner skin that are one-way streets than in the Christian community. It's been the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen.
Well, on top of that, I've had to reform every aspect of how we think, how we deal with problems. And when you mentioned, our wives, those are the part of the formula that God created that often get neglected, and things just start circling down from there.
Yeah. So what I tried to do, and I really wanted tonight, I wanted to talk about transitions in community. So when I left the SEAL team, I tried to replace that community with law enforcement, and it wasn't even close, right? But it was still better. Like up north, when I was a Boston cop, you still had the union. There was still the thin blue line. There was still a brotherhood there. It was more stab you in the back than the SEAL teams. It was more political than the SEAL teams, but it was still there. When I went to the South and I was a cop in the South, it was disgusting. There was no union. All the bosses had all the authority. They gutted it, and everyone was just stabbing each other in the back constantly. There was no community, no thin blue line, no nothing. It was awful, right? So I walked away from that after 10 months and trying to do that in the South as a rural police officer, and I was like, no way. And then I decided, hey, we're going to build our own community. We're going to come here. We're going to go all in on people. We're going to lead from the front. We're going to start a Christian community where we mean what we say what we mean. And, all you got to do is be a person of your word and be willing to grow together.
Yep. Well,
that was too much to ask.
I'm finding words to say, but it's been disappointing.
No, it is like, and again, this isn't a beat. Like, I'm not mean to beat up on Christianity. I'm just saying the state of the church sucks. You get a bunch of beta males and you get a bunch of insecure people who are lying to themselves, and they can ghost away in churches and pretend to be something they're not. And most churches will let them exist that way.
Well, I mean, that is due to culture. Culture sucks. And I've noticed in general as we look at, we try to compare what cultures compare and contrast to what God asked us to do. They are two totally different things. They are not even on the same radar. What God asked men to do and how to protect their families, lead their wives and wash them in the water of the word. And then the husband and wife, you raise your children up the way that it should go. At the end of the day, as we kept having our discussions and breaking down what we were talking about God's core values not even being in the home at all.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing that I've, that it's been my beef, and I had dinner with a pastor last night, and I can't believe, I look at everyone as a friend. I don't look at myself as a position.
Yeah.
So, but I can't believe how disposable I am to people. I'm like their attorney or their doctor. And here I am, I'm thinking like I'm hanging out with my best friend for the rest of my life. And I'm just a dude who does something for them.
Yeah. There's a lot of people using out there. And I've come to find out that in the Christian community, my friendships and families that I'm associating with has gotten so small, such as you and your wife and maybe 2 or 3 other families. And basically, what I found that's common among that is basically their view of God and how serious they take their charge of what the Word of God has given them. And that is the common thread that I've seen, is how serious do you take God at His Word in living your life out according to His will.
Yeah. And well, I think it boils down to walking the walk as you talk the talk.
Yeah. And that's harder, and it's easier said than done.
Yeah. And I never thought being a pastor would be so darn lonely.
Well, you're not the only one to say that. I was listening to some other pastors, and they said it's one of the loneliest jobs you could actually ever have.
I mean, I just was like, I don't know if people think I'm going to judge them or whatever. It's like, do you know who I am? Do you know the terrible things I've done? Like, I'm here for you, and I'll help you, and I'll help you diagnose your problems, and I'm not going to let you lie to yourself. But at the same time, man, I'm not some holy roller that's so pious that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my MO. I'm not one of those guys.
No, but the thing is that what does that tell you about how we're raised? The presupposition of how we live out our life. We're not held into account. We don't take our charges seriously, and that conviction has got to be there.
Well, it's just I'm going to say this in a way.
Jay, at this point in time, with what we're seeing in our culture, you're going to have to call it how you see it. And
there are so many pussies in Christianity. I'm going to say that.
Just
right?
Call it how you see it.
And that I'm not using the sexual term for that. I'm like wimpy cats, we'll say.
Yeah.
Wimps, all right? There's so many wimps in Christianity. They're so thin-skinned. They're so such posers.
And
that you shed the light on them and say, well, brother, I'm willing to grow with you. Let's work on this. And then it's like, whoa, you're saying I'm not a saint? You're saying that I'm not a knight in shining armor of the temple guard of whatever, of Zion,
Well, no, I mean, let's look at this for real. I mean, the thing is when I accepted Christ for the first time, the cultural checklist was don't cuss, don't drink, don't fight back. And basically what they've done is we've castrated and neutered men to basically not be able to stand up to anything.
Yeah.
And we do our 9 to 5, we put our tithe in. And the thing is at that point, men can't think for themselves. They're useless.
Yeah. Well, they're so insecure, right? And it's the sin of pride is the problem, right?
Yep.
They're so wounded. They have poser syndrome, right? So they've got to act and blow up and be like a rooster, get really big, or a peacock. And then all of a sudden you call them on it, and instead of working on it, they're gone.
Well, the thing is it's basically they built you up like a balloon. I'm going to say it like this is because we have discussions about being reformed in terms of where God has definitely opened my eyes. Is we've had discussions tearing apart the Word of God here in the studio, in places where we've hung out, shooting, wherever. And what I've realized is coming to grips with what God has asked me to be as a man, as my wife holds me accountable to doing what's right, because that's her job, is to help me. And then the accountability of our fellowship and friendships and everyone that's here on the screen.
Yeah.
Is we're supposed to help each other, even though it sucks, it's hard, we're tired, we're husbands, our wives are wore out, our kids depend on us. At the end of the day, compare and contrast from the Christianity that I was shared with, now come to the terms of reforming the way that I think, and how I look at God through the scripture lens of what he's shown me as I've walked with him, man, it's a tall charge, bro. It is
a tall charge, and that's why you need a war council around you.
Yeah.
That's why you need strong men and women that you trust, that are all in on you, who are not fickle, who are not going to blow in for a season and blow out for a season after that, right? Like that whole concept to me is so sad.
Well, at the end of the day, with the discussions, like I said, that we've all had with our family sitting around the tables, is if we don't figure that out and take that, come to grasp with the gospel and actually live it out and stop being fake, that's the actual war that we're actually fighting. That's going to push all this junk we just went over in the last 2 to 3 years. That's the only way to push it back.
Yeah.
The only way to fight that battle. I'm like I said, we've talked about certain things like, getting guns, going out there and shooting. If we have to resort to that, that's a non-discussion with the guys here.
Right.
That's easier said than done if we have to get to that point. The hard stuff is the stuff that people don't want to do in terms of the gospel with traction, like we were talking about. And that integrity comes with actually taking that serious day by day, step by step, every single day.
So one of the things, let's get theological for a moment.
Okay.
So both of you and I are Calvinists. We are reformed in our thinking.
Yep.
There is a breed of Calvinists that is so legalistic that I can't even stand it.
Yep.
I was in a group this today on Facebook that is Paul Washer and John MacArthur, like whatever book, right?
Okay.
And it's a reformed group. And in there, someone posted these are false teachers, right?
Okay.
Or something like that. And it was the Shack, some other book about that's had Jesus in the title that I'm not familiar with. And then they put The Chosen on there. And they were slamming into The Chosen. And I was like, I'm going to war. I'm going to go to war on this because this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, one, The Chosen is a fictional biblical art piece on a theoretical version of what could have happened around Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. They quote scripture, but they fill in the rest.
Right.
Because the Bible is a minimalist text.
Right.
So what do we have to do when we're watching that? We have to look out for heresies.
Yep.
We have to watch it with open eyes and be on guard to see if they're trying to say that Jesus is something he's not.
Right.
I haven't seen that. Well, somebody said he asked Matthew to help him. Jesus didn't need anyone to help him. I'm like, Matthew recorded what Jesus said, so I don't see Jesus being rude and saying, "Hey, come right." I mean that means nothing. Like, take the good for the good. Mm-hmm. More people are being turned on to Christ, going on the on-ramp of Christ, having the elect awakened, right?
Yep.
With The Chosen, than anything that anyone else has done.
Yep.
Period. Millions, hundreds of millions of people. They're trying to get 1 billion people with this. You're trying to tell me that that's bad. Now, some of them are going to be Christian light. Some of them are going to be hyper grace. But still, if you believe in Calvinism, which these guys are reformed, if God wants to use The Chosen to awaken that in them, to light the spark, who are you to judge that?
Not supposed to.
Exactly. And these people are going to, and of course it's all women, right? And I'm just like,
well, here, at the end of the day, that's not the scripture we're supposed to be relying on in terms of how we live our life. Like you said, it's fictional. The other thing is the Bible is supposed to be the source of that. But are we really going to tear apart these? Chosen aside, I don't have an issue with watching Chosen, 1 or 2. I've watched both seasons, and I love it.
I'm afraid they're going to screw it up at some point, but they have not to this day.
Okay. Well, with that point, if we're going to get legalistic about The Chosen, it reminds me of scripture as saying, why are you worried about the speck in your brother's eye and you got a freaking log in yours?
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's why they're sitting there like, well, it's funded by Mormons and they've been advised by Catholics. I'm like, well, You're on Facebook right now, which is one of the most evil corporations in the history of the world.
Yes.
So you're going to judge them because, and again, they haven't done anything that's not biblically sound. You guys
Right.
can't bring anything here.
Right.
That's bad. Like it's all like, again, like we get in our own way. Like there's this purity test.
Right.
I'm like, every person has to have discernment, and it's art. Not everyone has got a Paul washer in their backyard that can bring the love of Christ out in everyone and take that text and do that.
Right.
Like the chosen can do it.
Well, at the end of the day, if people are going to be pointing fingers, they're going to have to back it up with scripture. One, they're going to have to use the Bible to make their point. And then,
Well, they're calling it, the problem is they're holding the chosen to the standard of a teacher. I'm like, they're not a teacher. They're not a pastor. It's artwork.
Yeah.
Are you going to get there and like rip Da Vinci
No.
for what he did with his painting? It's the same thing.
yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And not only are you going to use scripture, you're not going to use the chosen to live your life by. That's one.
Exactly.
And then two, on top of it all, Jay, when we're looking at all of this stuff, like in terms of legalism, I've gotten to the point, and you can ask my family, I've gotten so caged up, that term cagey, about all of this stuff, that I'm like, if you do not have self-control to where you can actually live the Bible out how God asked you to do it, and you're getting to that point where you're scrutinizing and you're ignoring your own life, there's a heart problem there. There is a heart problem,
but there's a challenge in here, and there's a warning in that. What I want to say to you, the Bible is an impossible standard, and we are all sinners, and we're all going to fall short.
Yep.
Period.
Every one of us.
Right. So you got to sit there and say, okay, when I'm going to interact with a family, or I'm going to be around a family, I'm going to say, are they raising their children biblically? They don't have to be perfect, because I'm not perfect.
Nope. Me neither
Right.
am I.
But they have to be trying.
Yes. I struggle every day.
Right. They have to be trying. Am I going to subject my kids to being around people who are not doing that? And the answer is no. It's too easy to go on that off ramp. And the corruption of sin spreads like crazy. It takes one friend, one bad friend, to corrupt a person and lead them down the wrong path.
Well, I mean, if you want to get into how strict God was, before Christ came in the Old Testament, you can go to Deuteronomy 6 and 7, and it explains to you God's chosen people, what was required, and why you are not allowed to intermarry with
a
other
Canaanite
nations.
or another one. Exactly.
And if you take that shows you, as you progressively read the Bible, what had happened to his people when, look at King David, Solomon, every one of them, they all fell over to sin.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've also been doing is I've been listening to extremely challenging people. So I have embarked on this 19 lecture, 2.5 hour, 3 hour lecture series by Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
From 9 years ago.
Really?
Before when he was less Christian than he is now. When he's looking at the psychological ramifications of the Bible.
Okay.
And he is going through Genesis, and he just went through things, and there are things that I agree with, and there are things I don't agree with, where I'm like, you swung and you missed it, that one.
Right.
He's not going to be perfect. He may be one of the most brilliant men alive, but he's not going to be perfect. When I listen to him, I feel my brain being stretched. I feel him downloading knowledge into me, and I feel myself becoming smarter.
Mm-hmm.
That is a gift beyond all gifts, to be able to transfer knowledge at an instant level from a PhD level course that is free on YouTube for anyone to look at things, to look at Genesis 1:1, to look at Genesis 4, Cain and Abel. One of the things he says about the Bible there, he's like, the Bible is not true. It is a meta truth. It is truth incarnate.
Right. Well, I remember I was watching something on him when he went to go visit the Bible Museum in Washington, D.C., and it was the foundations and the basis for all truth.
Yeah, exactly.
All truth.
And what he says, and how we disagree, whether we got here, like new Earth, old Earth, evolution, whether God used evolution or if he, whatever he used to get here, we can all disagree on that. There are opinions on that. There are things on that. It is not salvation based. when people sit there and say, oh, if you're not a young earther, it's a heresy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is not true. It's not true that it's the only person who witnessed creation was God himself. So and the rest of us are guessing.
Yep.
So say it. Say it. Like I've got a book, I got a Bible. Sorry, it's back there. It's Ray Comfort's Bible.
Oh, okay.
And Ray Comfort's a great guy. He saves a lot of souls. Like he goes out and he does apologetics in the street and he evangelizes and does a lot of good. And he's got a proof Bible, and I'm sure he's got a lot of good stuff. I open it to Genesis 1:1, and he states the 6 days and the young earth as fact. And we risk inerrancy with that. And if we risk inerrancy with our human assumptions, we lose, the whole house of cards falls.
Yep.
You have to do what R.C. Sproul's does in my Bible here, where he says, hey, the science isn't decided on this. Like, we don't know. Here's the theories out there. I'm going to weigh in on this one because it's what I believe. And just understand, this is my best guess.
Right.
And he'll come up on stage, right? Or he used to come up on stage. He's no longer with us. The Prince of Pastors get up on stage and sit there and say, I am less certain about some parts of my faith than other parts of my faith. Like I am certain on, like he'll say on Calvinism or this or that, or, the Apostles' Creed or whatever.
Right.
And then he'll get to his eschatology and he's like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a mature person who understands the ramifications of putting something with your assumptions in the Bible that is on the same page as truth incarnate.
Right. Yeah.
On the same page as truth incarnate. If you weigh in and say something that's not true, there's a line on that page. Mm-hmm. And some new believer comes in, may hit that, and that's as far as they get.
Well, I mean, that we could start tearing that apart, on distinctives alone.
Yeah.
And different denominations and the Bible and the Bible alone.
Right.
That's it.
So, so that's where you have to really be careful in the study Bibles you choose and the references you choose. And again, I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole. I wanted to stay talking about community and my lamenting the pitiful state of Christian community.
Well, it's because of opinions are subjective because they're not going back to this and this alone, the Word of God.
But here's the thing, Warren, right? I can pull out 2 PhDs who have 2 commentary books. They're the experts from various fields. They will digest the same passages and they will do a commentary, and it'll be completely different.
Yeah, that's because they don't have Christ.
Well,
that's one.
I mean, you could talk about a commentary from Vodi Bakum.
Yeah.
And then you could pit him against John MacArthur. And they will have disagreements on passages.
They always do. They always do, and they always will.
So it's like, as long as we agree on the pillars, everything else is icing on the cake.
Well, that 20,000-foot view of how we're supposed to be living for God, it seems like to me we keep tearing each other apart over trivial things, which are seeds to help grow our faith and get people to come back to God. And we just keep throwing more gasoline on the fire. And basically, we're burning down our own house.
Dude, there is so much backstabbing that happens to the Bible, and it always happens when we add to the Bible.
Yes.
When the Bible is not good enough, so we're going to create more rules. We're going to go full Pharisee, right? The law wasn't good enough, so let's create another 700 laws to go with it, right? As guardrails around the laws that the most intelligent being in the history of the world said follow these.
Right.
Right. So, and it's.
Well, let's just say this in general. This discussion we're having here with all the folks and here, that's not even happening. The people are not willing to have discussions and talk about these things. They put their opinions on. It's gospel to them. Put it online, set it and forget it. And people are not willing to have the conversation and actually tear this stuff apart like we're supposed to.
Yeah. It came down here because I thought the South was going to be a bunch of like-minded individuals. And you did the same thing. You came from Colorado, right?
California. Yeah, California, Nevada. But I'm struggling.
And we came down here, and I love it here. I love it here. I have a higher opinion, I think, than you do right now at the moment. Because I know people suck everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
People suck everywhere. But I never knew that the church was in such a bad place.
It's beyond that. When you say in such a bad place, I pulled my family from a church because the way my theology has changed, my wife and I's theology has changed, and the view of God that we now have, and the conviction that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jesus is no longer your bro?
No, he's
no longer a surfer?
The majesty of Christ and Christ alone.
Yeah.
My view has gone a lot higher. Does that make me a better person? No. It doesn't make me a better person. But the earth is his footstool, and I live here on earth. I'm not up in heaven.
Right.
And I've got to think of God in the right view in order to take the weight of responsibility that he's given me charge over as a man of a household, of a wife, my 4 kids, the responsibilities within my scope, and then from there, my responsibility to my fellow man, my community, and how I can affect change in that area. Where I can, when I can, we come and we help the Perry's Farm, help PCM. I'll help some other friends on their homesteads and do what I can with the skills, knowledge, and resources that I have. That's all that I can do. That's it.
But I came here to be a fixer, to put up a flare, right? To say, hey, listen, we're here. This is the way we are. If you want to be with us, if you're like us, if you're anything like us, come on over here, and we'll do everything we can to help.
Right, but
you have to invest in us.
But
meaning that you have to spend time with us.
Yes.
You have to come here and be a part of our lives, and we'll give you everything.
Yeah.
Right. We'll and we've done that. And the fickleness of the people that we've come across, like, I don't know how to describe it, man. I've never seen like the loyalty of the neighborhood that I had where I grew up in, and the loyalty that I had in the SEAL teams, and even in the Thin Blue Line. Out here amongst the masses, there's none of it.
Until you have something they need.
Right. Oh, anyone will use you anytime they can. So Jack Krause says, how's the volunteer state, man? The volunteer state for me is awesome. It's Eden for me. It's the environment I want to be in. It checks all the blocks for me, and I just need to fix the things that I'm not happy with. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be complacent. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to do all those things. I'm going to expose the problem, highlight the solution, and move forward from there, because that's what we do. Otherwise, we're just like all cops and every military member and firemen. We're just a bunch of people bitching.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to talk about bitchers, talk to a first responder or a service member. They're pros at it.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Yeah.
But so I want to pivot a little bit here. Talk to me, because I know my experience, and I want to hear, how did it feel to have the fire department and that brotherhood ripped out from underneath you when you left it, and then go hang out with civilians?
It was a struggle for me. I'll have to say, when I resigned from the fire department to get our family to, I'll have to say my wife initiated, and I thought it was a good idea to come out to Tennessee, and not having that atmosphere with working with competent professionals and competent people that I was so used to working for.
Are you calling firefighters competent?
Well, bro, I've helped you out.
Yeah.
I've helped you solve
I'm just saying, for those of you hose draggers out there, he's not like a city firefighter. He's like a wildfire firefighter.
Yep, I've done structure, fire engine pumping, dozer teams out west,
Hold on, I'm just seeing things. Patty said, "I will not use you. I can buy my own chicken, my one chicken." I don't know what you're talking about, Patty. I haven't been watching the comments, and that wasn't directed at you. So, you know, I can scroll up and check things. I'm a single woman. I'm trying. Again, I'm having a conversation here. Nothing is personally directed at you. You're more than welcome to come hang out with us any night. You're right down the street. You've been in our home. We would love to have you more. We'd love to see you more. We have a wide open door. Anyone can come here at any time. Please come by. So I never found the loyalty or commitment that I had while being an EOD tech in the military. Well, you went to the FBI, which is the problem. There is no loyalty in the FBI, as we're seeing. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is the responsibility of being, be part of a team where you actually solve problems every single day, multiple calls a day. I got used to that lifestyle, and then I gave it up and trying to put my family first and help a friend grow his business. And come to find out, it was actually one of the hardest moves for me. And you can ask my wife and my kids that. They'll tell you the truth. I struggled with it hard. I couldn't stop complaining. I was mad because I basically felt like I had to start all the way back from the bottom and not really have a plan on where to go and what to do.
Let me pause you there.
Yep.
What was your identity at that time?
It was being a firefighter.
Right. Was it being a follower of Christ?
Not as time went on, it revealed itself. No.
So you had made a false idol of your identity,
Yep.
which we see all the time
Yep.
in military and first responders.
Yep. And
you have to be a disciple of Christ first.
Yep.
And then you're a family man.
Yep.
Right.
Your
and
wife
then
and your kids.
There's what you do.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
To pay the bills.
Yep.
So anyways, but go ahead. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
no,
to interrupt you. I just didn't want that to go and get lost and not be able to make that corrective action. If there's something stupid.
Yeah, and that's a big struggle for me because I did that for 11 years. 11 years. I was blessed with the ability and the skill set in doing it, putting out, 100, 200, 300,000 acre fires with a group of men, saving communities. I mean, the instant gratification and the fruit of working that hard and knew who you were helping, and on top of it, helping complete strangers, and then coming home and realize who needed you most was your wife, your kids, and leading them, and the realization that God wants you to do that first and get that right. And that was so hard for me to swallow that pill.
And I'm in this season right now, right, where I'm running around with my head cut off.
Yeah.
I've got too much to do. I'm failing at 4 different jobs, right? Literally failing at the farm because, nothing's dying, so I'm not failing, but I'm drowning, right? I'm in the process of drowning. And the church is where it's at. We're growing online, not necessarily in person, although we've had some amazing families come through, and I'm very thankful for that. There's the Trident Shield, which was our breadwinner for a long time. That up until COVID was like our baby. Mm-hmm. Lauren and I, without kids, would work, 80 hours a week each on growing that job. So 160 hours a week between the two of us together, huddled.
Yeah.
To go out and outperform Fortune 100 companies.
You're divided so many different ways now.
And then we have, the Hope Report that I do for Mike Lindell. And, that is just running into the buzzsaw of the algorithm of Google and YouTube and Facebook. And it's Mike Lindell, and we're getting strikes for stuff from 18 months ago, and it's just like, just drowning there. But my whole point, without all that drama and flavor that I just added to it, was I have B. B is 3 and change right now. And she's in this difficult phase. She's been a dream child up until this phase. Mm-hmm. And I am supposed to be mentoring her. Yeah. I'm supposed to be mentoring her, and I am supposed to be taking her, and she's supposed to be my priority, but I'm so busy. I'm pushing her to the side. Instead of I don't have the time to do it. Like something I can do in 1 minute, with her it takes 10. And I'm failing at that moment right now because I'm in a crisis, right? Where I feel like I'm failing at everything, where I can't, or I haven't. I can't say can't. I've chosen not to bring her into the process and teach her the lessons there in that 10-minute session. And instead of doing it in 1 minute, doing it in 10.
I think every dad struggles with that because I'm, cutting grass, trying to teach my kids how to run a weed whacker or zero turn. Holy mackerel. I used to get pissed off. I'm like, cut a straight line. Couldn't cut a straight line. And it literally took probably 4 to 6 months of training my kids how to run weed whackers, just to take care of our property. And then they would come and help me. And the boys would get it. Aaliyah would get it. And now, at the point when you do have success at that, you just go, you sit back and you're like, wow.
Chris said a really amazing truth here that I want to nail. And anybody who doesn't believe this is wrong. I'm going to say that. It's hard to come to the conclusion. I'm going to put this on the screen.
Yeah.
It's hard to come to the conclusion that family should be first and the job really doesn't need you and will replace you tomorrow. That is a fact that you are replaceable at work, and particularly when you're plugging into the cog of government, firefighter, police, military. There are people who will miss you in that job, but they'll be gone in a little while. You know who will never feel that way? Your family. Your family will remember you forever. They deserve your loyalty.
That next generation that God has charged you with to prepare, it will be a cyclical cycle if you don't start putting the value in them. Because the kids and my wife were just looking at the numbers. Public school kids probably spend an average between 14 and 20,000 hours away from the home, away from their parents, and away from the values that a parent would give them. And that value system is important. And hopefully it's Christ. Hopefully you give them Christ.
Well, that's your number one job, is to give them the identity of disciple of Jesus Christ.
Right.
If you can pass on that identity, then there's nothing this world can throw at them that they can't handle.
Right.
If you fall short of that, if you make them a doctor and they don't have Christ, it's nothing. If you make them a lawyer and they don't have Christ, it's nothing. If they this world is a dark and evil place. It is a grinder that'll chew you up and spit you out. And the only answer is Jesus Christ for all of it.
Amen.
And why do we put that second, third, fourth, fifth? Why do we outsource that to the youth pastor?
Well, it's the parent's job. And it's hard for a lot of parents to come to grips with that. Responsibility of outcome starts with them. It always will start with, us as parents, husbands and wives, keeping God first, and then our children seeing that behavior and modeling that, and us instilling them and raising up the way they should go.
If I raise Lauren and my children in Christ and I die of cancer tomorrow, they'll be fine.
Yep.
If they can deal with burying us, which they will, all kids will bury their parents unless tragedy happens and they die first. They'll be able to deal with heartache.
Yep.
They'll be able to deal with setback.
Mhm.
They'll be able to deal with trauma. They'll be able to deal with anything life throws at them, because you gave them the ultimate lifeline, the ultimate raft, which is Jesus Christ.
And what alternative is going to teach you that?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
And here's the thing. Why can't we just all agree on that? Like what I just said was so basic. But there's a church down the street that'll say, I'm drinking wine right now, so you shouldn't hang out with me.
And there you go. And that is exactly that.
I would die for you tomorrow. I would move your family in tomorrow if you lost your house.
Yes.
I would do anything for you. And they're telling you because I'm drinking wine here.
And that's the value system they have chosen. And the thing is that we've talked about this time and time again. That checklist. Are you going to go to hell if you drink alcohol? Are you going to go to hell if you say a cuss word? No, we're talking about the condition of the heart and actually truly living for God to the best of your ability and actually trying. This is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about yes, no, I don't know. We're supposed to be able to let our yes be yes or no's be no's, but we're having a hard time with that. And that drinking alcohol it's pretty clear. Christ drank alcohol. It's in the scriptures. The
the apostles did as well.
And the key factor in there, self-control. Self-control. Seltzer water. I have my reasons. I've got a Class A license. I'm driving my family tonight. I don't need to be drinking. And every once in a blue moon, I'll have a glass of wine or I'll have a beer. Am I going to go to hell for that? Last I checked, it wasn't one of the commands.
It is not. So let's get into some questions that we have here that is important. Hey, man, do you think more kids should be homeschooled or private schooled? So my answer to this is 100% homeschooled. Private school, if you can find a gem, that's fine.
Yep.
Right. If you can find a biblically based pro-America school that is going to teach, a non-CRT, patriotic, accurate, non-racist, non-reverse racist, whatever you want to call it, non-CRT thing, that's great. Those are very rare. They're very rare. And here's what you got to do. You got to check. If you're not if you're not doing that homeschooling, you better go back and you better verify when your kids are learning.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I and my in-laws help out a lot. At the end of the day, what fruit or vision or do you have for your family? And the vision that you have for your family, that outcome is going to come by sweat and hard work. And God has given the parents the charge, not the government. Institutions do not take the place of the parent. And we've abdicated that role time and time again. And my wife and I have talked about that time and time again. At the end of the day, the responsibility of outcome in the Christian community and the Christian family belongs with the husband, the wife, and God leading it all.
100%. So my answer to you, Jack Krause, is you can send them to private school if you find one of those gems, but you better verify what they're teaching, and you are still responsible. You are responsible for imprinting that disciple of Christ identity onto your child.
Yes.
Right. No one else does that. No one else.
Nope.
No youth pastor, no senior pastor, no nothing. As dad, it is your job to imprint that upon your family.
Yep. And
that is crystal clear.
It is crystal clear. You can go to Deuteronomy 6 and read that chapter. Start from verse 6. It explains it from your waking up, from your going by the way, from your wake. It explains it all real clear. And back in the day, look at it. Christ,
thank you, Patty,
learned his values from reading scriptures, the Old Testament, going to the temple, and then he learned his craft from his dad, his earthly dad, how to be a carpenter.
Sure.
How come it can't be that simple today?
Well, it should be that simple today, right? But here, the state wants to control what you do, you teach your kids. You can go to private schools and you can find biblical schools, but there's, unless they vet all their teachers appropriately, you're always going to have that one teacher that could corrupt your kid. Mm-hmm. That one CRT that's in there, that one LGBTQ plus that's in there, that is going to take your kid and send them down a dark path that they may never recover from.
Yeah.
Because you outsourced your authority to someone else.
Well, I mean, I can't. I'm gonna give you guys an example right here. It can't be any clearer than this. We would have brand new recruit firefighters show up to the station. They did not know how to vacuum the floor. The firefighter recruit is grabbing the vacuum from the head and pushing it on the floor, not even by the handle, putting 2-cycle oil mix into a 4-stroke motor, blowing the motor up. 36 hits to hit a 16-penny nail into a 2x4 when it should only take about 2 or 3 good hits. Don't know how to use a circular saw. The entry-level test when I was an engineer in the fire station with Kern, the first test we give a recruit, we need you to be able to change the tire on the patrol fire truck. That was his test. They couldn't even do that. We had moms bringing meals by the station because their son couldn't cook or iron their uniform, and they were afraid to cook in the kitchen. How worse can that get in a parent failing to set their children's future up for success?
Well,
And it starts with the community, and it starts with parents taking their role serious.
that's exactly correct. So does Tennessee have a pro-America private schools? I'm 25, but I'm trying to plan well for the future. I'm sure they do. It's not something that we're interested in pursuing at the moment unless somebody was excelling at it. If we had a school that was a magnet for Christian conservative thinkers that we could trust would pass, that would be a good assist to us mentoring our kid. We would do it. But they would have to recognize that we are the primary and they're the secondary and they're there to assist us.
Right.
So Chris said, let's pull this up. Chris said I should pass on my philosophies onto my children along with my skill set to make them well-rounded people. Absolutely. Your job is to pass on your identity in Christ. 2, your skill set.
Yep, absolutely. My kids.
My daughter is going to be a killer.
My kids they're already running zero-turn mowers. They're already weed whacking on the property. They're feeding animals. They're understanding animal husbandry. They're helping us plant the garden. They know where their food comes from. The kids are underneath the truck with me, learning how to weld and change oil. My daughter changes oils and tires with me. All these things, they used to be in high school. Now they're gone. They've pulled them.
Yep.
And now kids, all they know how to do is have thumb exercises. And
they're great at Call of Duty and playing a guy who can forever sprint and they never have to sweat.
Yep.
Who can get shot and it doesn't hurt and they regenerate.
And pushing a Shih Tzu in a stroller.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. I mean, that's useless.
So, but we started PCM here, and you were here day one. You helped carry the cross, right? As far as people who were on here who helped carry the cross, I think the only other person on here who carried the cross, the 600-pound cross up the hill, was Steve.
Yep, Raleigh.
Yeah, Steve Raleigh.
Hey, Steve-O.
It's been way harder than I thought, bro.
There's a lot about this that has been hard. I mean, I'm not gonna shy away from saying this. I mean, I look back at my old job. I'm like, and that's in California. I'm like, dang, I had it way easier there.
Yeah, but you forgot. You'd be wearing a mask right now in California.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
You'd be wearing a mask. Your kids would be indoctrinated. You wouldn't be allowed to homeschool them. They'd be getting dragged out of your house, and you'd be called abusive parents.
It's been that hard for a moment to where you'll look back and you'll have that look back.
Oh, you look back. You look at the salary. You look at the position. You look at the authority you had.
Right.
All the worldly things.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The thing that I've learned more than anything else is my seat at the head of the table was given to me by God, and my wife refuses to take that spot because she loves God so much and says, your turn, pal. Fill that seat. Lead me. Lead our kids. We're reading. We're doing Bible worship every night. Take the spot. But here's the thing. If we don't take that spot as men, our country is done.
Yeah.
Well, our country's done.
Well, our country's pretty done as it is right now. My 3-year-old son is in the barn every day helping. That's awesome, Christopher.
Heck yeah.
You know, the fact that you have the time to show them the right way to do it is everything. And like, I cringe at myself. I just saw the past 6 months or 3 months and fast forward in my head the other day. And I'm just like impatient.
Mm-hmm.
Missed opportunity.
How old are your kids?
Kids are 3 and 7.
And you're acknowledging it now.
7 months.
You're acknowledging it now. But how many people are saying kids out of the house, kids out of the house, kids out of the house? And then we've seen these stories over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that is what God reminds me of. That's what you remind me of. And most of all, it's what my wife reminds me of. You are missing these opportunities. And the fact that we're talking about it and recognizing it, that is what's important. Now, like you've done in the past, prioritize and execute.
Yeah, well, I nothing will destroy a high performer more than failing at 4 jobs at once.
Well, you know what? I haven't taken on quite the load you have, but failing business, still alive, but still doing it. I do concrete all day, learning a new trade. Still using the skills I've had in the fire department at a civilian level. They're all different skills that'll play its way out at some point in time, whether it's me helping you guys out, you and Lauren, helping my wife and my kids out, or somebody else down the road. It will come to play. It will come to play. Right now, I just don't know, these lessons that we're learning right now, where they'll show up. I don't know where they'll show up.
Well, for me, I just want to help people. That's been my entire life, right? When I went from predator to protector, my whole life has been dedicated to helping people. And it's been so darn hard.
Well, with that being said, I'm not trying to equate you to Christ at all. We're not perfect. But with trying, we have a smaller ounce of how he felt. You talked about being alone, uphill battle, trying to help people. God tried to help people. And the reality of it is it's the most, like you said at the beginning of the show, it's the most impossible, hardest job we could ever have, is trying to pick up our cross, our instrument of execution, and follow him.
So I want to end this show on a good note. And, there is a lot of good news. So we've had, we have our friendship, our family's friendship.
Yep.
We've had 2 young families in their 30s come into the church, and they're both volunteering 1 day a week, or sometimes it's a morning. It's more like a morning, where they come and help out on the phone.
Awesome.
They just recognize what we're doing. They want to be a part of this, and they're showing up. I've been trying to do a lot of self-reflection to see what I need to do different to reach the target audience that I'm trying to reach, which is people who love Jesus and love America, people who are serving or have served, whether in the military or in first responders. And I don't feel like I'm doing a good job at it.
Yeah.
Like it's hard because I've been in such crisis mode. I haven't been able to dedicate 80 hours a week to growing a church. So I'm counting on God. I'm saying, okay, God, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this, and you fill it. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Well, I got to give him the work to do it. I got to do the right thing. So I'm showing up. I'm doing the sermons.
Right.
And I know I can preach. Right. I know I can preach. Whether you agree with me or not, doesn't matter. I can put out a competent sermon.
Right.
But I don't know why we're not full. I mean, I can sit there and say because we don't have signage, because we're in a garage, because people don't even know, my whole neighborhood doesn't even know we're a church.
Well, I remember we had this discussion, I think a month and a half ago, and we talked about what the requirements of a covenant was, and the commitment level right now with Americans, we're self-sufficient. We like doing things on our own. We like the freedom of not having to commit to things, and yada yada, except when we're in need. But I think as Americans we're missing, and I say this with me included too, is we're missing the actual true understanding of what a community is. Right now, community can be virtual, community can be online. Community means that I drop my tithe and I've done my duty for Sunday and I just walk away.
Yeah.
What is being asked for, in regard to PCM and the church here, it's going to be foreign. It used to be that way back in the day, but it's foreign to
It's
us
time,
now in our culture.
sweat and blood here.
Yeah. I've got plenty of calluses and
I know.
Steve and calluses and blood and sweat. But here's the thing: is the relationships that are established, such as our friendship between you and I. The thing is when times get tough, which they are, and they have, at times. Whether it's a phone call away or just stopping by, the needs can be met, whether it's spiritual, physical, nutritional, and all of those things. And people right now don't see a need for that because I've got mine.
Well, it's so sad because we're a year in from the cross, right? We did the cross on Memorial Day a year ago. We're a year in, and we've done a lot. We've done a lot. We spent a lot of money, done a lot of things. But where I wanted to be was so much further. I wanted to have a bunch of guys that were in the gym, sweating, testing each other, forging, just banging on that steel and forging a brotherhood and a sisterhood that was something special. And I just can't find anyone to go all in on. It's just everyone's got their challenges, and it's and I wonder if at times if that's impossible.
No, it's not impossible, but there's not very much mentorship and leadership in general, especially in our culture, to forge that kind of men that you're used to being, the teams, and what I'm used to in the firefighter brotherhood. And the thing is at those different jobs, we were able to put our family, at check for the moment of performance, but here they have to be included. Yeah. And that's one thing that I'm learning that I have to do more. And the thing is when we get together, we have to bring everybody.
Yeah.
We can't put family over in the corner and perform and solve problems. We have to bring them in. And like you said, it's harder than we think. And there's not very many people doing that.
So Christopher said, keep fighting, and I believe as times get harder, the people will find you. If you're not seeing the people in the seats, you also have us on the internet. The world is not one of one's words. I get it. No, I mean, I know that a lot of you guys are behind enemy lines and isolated and alone, and you're not crazy. You're not crazy. There is a lot of us out there who feel the same way as you, who are missing the same things that you're missing. And I wish you all could be in here in Johnson City, Tennessee with us.
Yeah.
I really do. I really think we need more people here because let me tell you, there's a lot of weak sauce here, but we'll do with what we got, and, to end this on a high note, you guys who've been watching the show for a while know about baby Anya and how difficult she was and how she has been a screamer from go. I want to tell you that we're about 30 days in now she's mobile, she's crawling, and she's become sunshine. She lights up my heart. Her smile warms me. I'll be honest, I didn't think I could feel the way I feel about her, and she just melts my heart.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
She'll crawl across the floor with a mile long across glass just to be able for me to put my hands out, for her to put her hands in, and her stand up and smile at me.
Yeah.
And so I want to end on that high note that God is amazing, and people are going to disappoint you, but at the same time, other people are going to surprise you.
God tells us to keep trying,
and our job is to do the next right thing. So life is going to suck. Life is going to get hard. You're going to have storms, and you're going to have, the way I think about it is, for me, the way I run my life is on momentum, right? My momentum, and to keep things moving and to keep to make the impossible possible is by keeping things moving no matter what, right? So that when the hurricane hits me, my momentum carries me to the eye of the hurricane. And then I have a pause. And then it's Christ's job to carry me the rest of the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
that's my halfway with him. It's like I'm my momentum, everything I'm doing, all the part I'm doing is going to get me to the eye of the hurricane. And then when the storm ranges and that eye passes over me and I'm going to hit that next wall, that's when I give it to him,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everyone. That's about all I have tonight, unless there's any other questions. God bless you. I love you guys. I'll see you on Sunday for service at 11. Remember, please weigh in and let me know. Send me a message, send me a text, I'll probably put a poll up here pretty soon. We want to move our service to 7 p.m. on Sundays so that people will go have dinner and then show up here so they can go to their church that they're loyal to, and then they can come see what we're about and experience our fellowship in the evening. So that's what we're trying to do. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to alienate everyone we have, but we're going to give it a shot at some point. So that's what I'm thinking. And unless you guys persuade me otherwise, that's where we're going to be. So great conversation tonight. So good to see you both. Have a great weekend. Same to you, Steve. God bless you, brother. You got to get up here, man. You got to get up here. You haven't been up here in so long, dude. I mean, come on, bro. What's going on with you? I mean, you're in Florida. Come on, it's hot right now. Come on up here. It's cool. All right, everyone. God bless you. We'll see you on Sunday.